There it is, the deluxe reverb. Is this the best guitar amp in the world?
No, Daniel, this is the best guitar amp in the world.
Nice. Hey everyone, welcome to That Pedal Show. Dan here.
Mick here, hello. Right, please subscribe after all that shenanigan at the beginning. Please subscribe, please go to That Pedal Show store. Sales messages out of the way. This is the best guitar amp in the world.
I think it is a very strong candidate. We can easily make that argument.
Because, why? It's small and portable. It's loud enough to get over any drummer, or not any drummer, but it's loud enough to get over a decently handed drummer, shall we say.
Yeah.
It's totally uncomplicated. It's a good pedal platform, which we'll hear today. And it also has inbuilt reverb and tremolo if you do want a couple of effects and don't use any pedals. But what does that give you? Okay, Dan and I are on a bit of a mission, and we've been on a mission for a while.
Blues Brothers style.
Yeah.
It's
a mission from Dog.
It is. Got a mission from Dog.
Rosie sent us on a mission. We really want you to stop apologising for your guitar tone and volume.
Preach it, brother.
Just seeing too many gigs of late where people have been forced down the digital modelling route or the silent stage route or some quiet route. And it is just this apologist approach to playing the guitar where everyone's too scared. What we're going to show you today is some ways in which you can use this at an appreciable volume so that get rid of some option paralysis. Really important. We're all suffering from that in the pedal world at the moment.
Yep.
Get rid of option paralysis. The result of stop apologising for your tone and getting rid of option paralysis is
you'll play better, you'll just enjoy it more, and you will play better.
And you will sound better.
Yeah.
More to the point.
Yeah.
Let's get on with it then. Here's how I like to use a deluxe reverb. Number one, you don't need all this if you don't want it. 4-pot Gibson guitar or something similar. You probably do want a humbucker for this, to be fair. I like to use a humbucker with this.
Yeah.
As we'll discover in a minute, this amp's sweet point is at a certain point on the volume dial. I'm going to forget about that, and I'm just going to turn it straight up to 9. You'll hear the faint hum of an amp. There are those of you that will think I've absolutely lost my crackers at this point. This is a deluxe reverb on 9, right? And the point is, we can go from a clean sound to a mid-gain sound to quite a heavy overdrive with humbuckers and have a lovely time all the way in, okay? So the amp is on 9, the treble's on 7, the bass is on 4. All I'm going to do is affect the guitar's controls, okay?
Welcome to that No Pedal Show. I mean, that's, for me, the spark behind the idea of doing this show was we do something very similar in experience days. And you would have seen a similar thing at the start of the show, right? How throughout its entire gain range, it really does sound spectacular.
Yeah.
And it's all there.
There is no point there. What's really interesting about that as the kind of no pedal route to the deluxe reverb, if you crank it up to 9 or 10, which I'll say again, some of you who've tried that might think it's utterly unhinged because once you get past 3, it's too loud for you to hear. Actually, depending on the deluxe reverb, once you get a certain way past that, it just doesn't get any louder.
Yeah.
And it wasn't any louder there, really.
Right.
If you watch the transients on the dB meter when I'm playing the rhythm stuff, perfectly quiet enough to sit behind a singer, if you're careful with the volume and tone controls on the guitar.
Yeah.
And then enough overdrive for, in the idiom of sort of all-round rock and roll guitar playing, enough gain to cover the vast majority of uses, which we can then spice up with a few pedals. But I just want to make that point that remove option paralysis,
Yeah.
stop apologising for your guitar tone,
Yep.
feel better, play better, sound better.
You could turn
Check.
up to a gig with that and that guitar.
Yeah.
And you'd be a very happy man.
Yeah, so I suppose the remainder of the video is why don't we do that? What are some of the issues for the reasons for not wanting to do that? Either volume or tone, usually a combination of the two. For me anyway, it's because you want a wider variety of sounds, and
Yeah.
that tees us into the next point, which is what a great pedal platform.
Yeah. So it is well known that the deluxe reverb has a incredible clean sound. It's been loved by, Nashville country giants for ages. So what we can do then, if we dial back the amp,
I don't know if this will come across. When we do our experience days, we demonstrate that every deluxe reverb has a sweet point where it goes from being anodyne and boring sounding to waking up.
Open up. Yep.
I'm going to see if Dan can tell me where that point is, and we'll see if that translates to the audio and the video. It'd be interesting to see if
Okay.
it does.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start on 2, and we'll come up from there. Dan, don't look at me. You just tell me where you think
Okay.
it's woken up.
Okay.
I will indicate for the audience where we are.
All right.
So
Just starting to get there now. There it is. So, instantly for me, right, I can hit pick quietly.
yeah, that's right. I'll turn it down.
I can pick quietly, but when I dig in a little bit, the amp's like,
Yeah.
it goes somewhere else.
He heard it clearly, maybe because he's used to hearing it, but also when we do it on experience days, there's this point between 4 and 4.5 on ours where it's just like, it's almost like there's running water and you remove all the barriers to it running.
Yeah, right.
As a terrible analogy.
No,
please,
it's great.
Please don't run any water through your deluxe reverb. So we'll head back there, and I'm just going to head just below there, right?
Okay.
Because that is the point it also starts overdriving.
Right.
So as we want it clean, I'll
Just
put
a little
it
bit below.
just a touch
Okay.
over 4, okay? Again, some of you might think we've lost our tiny minds running it this loud if you've got one at home, but we're not really talking about playing at home here, we're talking about playing out.
Yep. So. It's great. It's so great. Now, one of the things about the deluxe reverb is because What are we at now? Just 4?
Just over 4.
Just over 4.
4 1/4.
So
Makes all the difference.
the amp is still, it's past that anodyne bleached white phase.
Yeah.
The amp now starting to have a little bit of character. If I then kick in an overdrive pedal on top of the amp that's working a bit, it sounds phenomenal.
So this is kind of the opposite approach I was going to. I start with the amp maxed out and come back from there. This is the amp stays lower and you add things on top. And if that's too loud, great news. It's an overdrive pedal, so you can just turn it down. And a really good extension of this is if you are running the amp cranked, we'll just let Dan have a bit of fun a minute. You can also do this as a concept called underdrive. So we're going to crank the amp, you're going to hear the amp cranked, and Dan is going to use the pedal to turn the amp down. I was going to turn it up to 10.
Yeah,
right?
come on.
Here you go. Here's the deluxe flat out.
No pedals on that. That's just the amp, right?
It completely negates about 4 overdrive pedals having this amp.
It's unbelievable.
So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to have the level and the drive turned down on the pedal so that instead of using the pedal to lift a quiet amp, we're going to use the pedal to drop a loud amp.
Awesome.
So given that we're talking about the Deluxe Reverb as a pedal platform amp, it's just to really make the point that you can use it as a pedal platform on which to add sounds on top and make louder and more distorted, or you can use it as pedals to take away, make less distorted, and tame the amp. So there's 2 different approaches to that.
Yeah.
We have covered that before. It's loosely called underdrive, and it's just another way to use your overdrive pedals.
Yeah. The beauty of the amp, though, for me, as a pedal platform, is you can get it so it's working where it's not too loud. And when you add pedals in, it's not like you're putting pedals into the front of a PA system. You know what I mean? The amp, there's still character there that the pedals can work with. But there's no denying that when you turn the thing up and it starts to do its thing, that amp, right, it is epic.
Would encourage you to experiment with it if you possibly can, because the temptation is then to say, yeah, but I can't get my X type of gain sound. The amp just doesn't sound right doing that. Okay, add a pedal if you really need it. But we would encourage you to just maybe worry a little bit less about 58,000 different flavors of overdrive and just go with it.
Yeah.
Because in the idiom of most rock and pop music, the right pickup, the right part into that is going to be near enough. It's going to be near enough for you to, and the benefit, of course, is the just taking away the option paralysis, so you're not worried about all of this. You're concentrating on this. You play better. You sound better.
Yeah.
Can't hammer that home enough.
Yeah, for sure. Another thing, just with the amp on just over 4, so it's about to do its thing, is even if you just boost, just a straight clean boost into the front of the amp then starts to sizzle and work in a really spectacular way. So E for booster.
And it's at this point we point you to all our previous shows on gain stacking, how to use overdrive pedals, because judicious choice of 2 overdrive pedals or a boost and an overdrive will get you myriad gain sounds. Check this out. Both pedals off, one pedal on, the other pedal on, both pedals on together. It's quite a huge gamut of sounds.
Yeah. I'm in a very happy place there. Not a lot I couldn't do with just those 2 pedals.
Yeah.
But it's all dependent on the amp being in a very happy place. And for me, the deluxe reverb at a place where it's working, there's not a lot I can't put in the front of that and it might sound wonderful.
So a couple quick ways that we can use the EQ there. Dan and I don't tend to use EQs in amps as a matter of course. However, there's been a lot of chat about the G7 in particular just recently, largely thanks to Tom Bukovac, who uses it everywhere he goes. So clearly the most obvious use is as an EQ shaper. If you have a particular guitar or whatever and you just want to tweak that EQ to be a bit sweeter, let's have a quick look at that, a very quick look at that. I'll stick the boost on down. What I've done there is set it with a kind of solo boost EQ. So roll off the bottom a little bit, push the mid frequencies and push the gain a bit. This gain slider is turned off, has fallen off, so you can't see the gain slider right on the end there. But if we had the Noballs on, for example, let's say the example here is the amp on its own is too loud. I need a rhythm guitar sound to sit beneath the singing, which needs to have a bit of overdrive on it. Great. So off you go, Dan. So what we can hear there is that with the overdrive pedal on, it's quite a bit quieter than the amp on its own, much less spiky, will sit under that vocal much better with an overdriven sound that you need. But of course, then you come to want to play a solo. If you boost in the front, it'll get more distorted, but it won't get much louder. So we're going to use the EQ as a solo boost.
Beautiful.
Give it a go.
That's ace.
And any EQ shape you want, you could do the opposite, right? You've got loads of aggression in here, loads of volume, loads of everything. And then what we're going to do now is do the opposite, have like a V EQ curve and drop the level off. So
Nice.
that the EQ is going to make the whole thing sit right back out of the way.
Yep.
Try this.
That is ace.
This is all really basic gain staging and EQ stuff.
Yeah.
But as you can see, we don't have 58 pedals on here.
Yeah.
We've got a very modest selection of pedals.
Yep.
Now, if you were then to introduce some option paralysis and go for a programmable EQ, the sounds you can get out of that are just vast. 2 gain stages and an EQ. And then you're into that world of being able to regulate your volume
Yeah.
and kind of curve to suit the music, with the important caveat that when it comes time to be heard, you've got Lumumbo on tap to do so.
Yeah.
We've all been there at that sound check time where you step on your overdrive pedal, sound engineer winces, because the psychoacoustic effect of having all that extra gain and a rough sound around the edges because it's overdriven is that it's 10 times louder, and it just never is.
No.
The peak may even be less, it just sounds much louder. So our advice would be don't give them that sound right at the beginning because by the time the band is blaring, you won't be loud enough. You just won't.
Yeah. The reality is, for me, if you have a drummer on stage that is using real drums and is hitting, there is no reason not to have an amp on stage. None. And, you know, we've got this on 4 and it's working. I mean, it can go quieter, but just having a sound source on stage, it's the weirdest thing going to gigs and hearing live drums on stage and the rest of the stage is dead. It just, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's
we just have to push back against it because the fun is in playing with a little bit of volume, not excessive volume, and no one's going to say that's excessive. It's 22 watts, it's 2 6v6s. And that's this whole thing about stop apologising about your guitar sound and feeling bad about being heard. You just got to stop it.
Yeah.
We want you to stop it and try and experiment with a better tone.
Indeed. It ticks so many boxes, right? You'll play better. So this is what I love about this is a sound like this in that environment, it will actually make you a better guitar player.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
100%. And
You'll
your
hear
guitars
yourself.
will sound like they're supposed to sound as well.
Yeah. It's a win-win.
Let's finish off then with a few in-betweeners. Maybe we'll crank the amp a bit more, get some sounds going. The halo and the chorus are on there just really as an example. You know, the important part is the gain staging. The important part is finding the level of overdrive or clean that you need to get the job done, whether that is by playing solos or playing rhythm, sitting in with the song and having multiple options of gain level and volume level in order to be able to sit in the music. So we feel that with a couple of overdrive pedals on the EQ, you can certainly get there.
Absolutely.
And then the rest is colour, isn't it? Dan and I would always choose a delay, always, and one modulation. In this case, we've got a chorus. The really great news about running the delay, running the deluxe reverb at this sort of level where it's not overdriving massively, is that we can run all the pedals straight in the front with no problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
And did we say it's got killer tremolo as well? So much potential from a relatively simple offering.
Yeah. I also think it's important to say this is straight off the shelf. This is not a hand-wired version. This is not a vintage version. This is straight off the shelf.
Standard speaker.
Standard speaker. Now, it has been played.
Yeah, it's been belted for 2 years.
And that does make a difference.
The speaker's loose.
The speaker's loose.
The tubes are well worn.
Yep. But it's a very special thing. And I think if you're in that place where you're not quite sure about what to do for that next thing, you're gonna start jamming, you're gonna start playing with a few friends. Which way do I go? I think you'd be really hard pressed to find a better way than a deluxe reverb, and it's something that you can have for your entire career.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can add things to it, you can add other amps to it and stuff, but that is never going to go obsolete.
No, and it's always repairable, especially if you get a hand-wired one, which is a different discussion, but it's always repairable.
Yeah.
You know, it's never going to become a bit of old technology that doesn't function anymore because there's no firmware update.
Yeah.
It's killer. And if you don't like the deluxe reverb, substitute Vox AC15, substitute any other manner of medium-powered tube combo that you can crank into a lovely overdrive. It'll make you a better player. It'll remove option paralysis. Most importantly of all, it will get you heard. And that's to really underline the point. Cannot count the number of gigs I've gone to recently where a guitar player steps up to play something, cannot hear them.
Yeah.
Just can't hear them. And it's a travesty. It's very sad. Please stop doing it.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Well, there we go. Hope you enjoyed that. Thank you so much for watching. Again, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. It really does make a difference. Massive thanks to our preferred retailers. Massive thanks to our patrons on Patreon.
Thank you.
And massive thanks to anyone that's gone to thatpedalshowstore.com.
It's a very nice shirt you're
wearing. Do you like
wearing,
this
Dan.
shirt?
Yeah.
I love this.
It's almost like it's got that pedal show embroidery all over
Could you
it.
imagine?
Yeah.
Could you imagine?
Yeah. Even on the sleeve.
Even on the sleeve, which I've rolled up.
Yeah, okay. Good. Thank you very much for being with us. We will see you soon.
Indeed. Bye.